So new inflation numbers coming in, giving Americans just a little relief in their pocketbooks. The Consumer Price Index out just minutes ago. It's up 7.7% from a year ago. Meantime, inflation under the Biden presidency going in the wrong direction, putting basics like food and gas even further out of reach for so many. Maria Bartiromo is here to break it all down. What did you think about that number today?
I agree with you. It was a good number. It's nice to see a little relief on this because we do actually now have evidence that we're coming off of the highs. I don't think we've peaked. I do think this is a 1 month number and we're going to continue to see this pressure because when you look at the components within this number, yes, year over year up 7.7% versus an estimate of 8%. But look at where you have shelter and rent. Rent is continuing to skyrocket. That's not showing any signs of abatement. Some areas of food are also actually worse than last year. So like when you look at, for example, gasoline up 17.5%. Energy overall up 17% in the month of October. That was a very bad number. Look within food, a dozen eggs up 43%.
Wow.
Year over year. So yes, things are,
chickens are coming home to roost, Maria.
Exactly, literally. But no, it's a better number than we expected. It's nice to see, but it does not, to me, indicate that we are out of the woods by any means.
Last week, Jerome Powell said we still have ways to go.
Right.
So we'll see how that goes. Our voter analysis, and you were with us on election night.
Yeah.
Our voter analysis found this most important issue, number 4, guys, economy and jobs at 48%. Mm-hmm. Okay, abortion at 9, immigration at 9, climate change at 8. Economy and jobs at 48%. Mm. Do you think that showed up in the results?
I think that abortion was a bigger issue to the Democrats than many of us gave it credence because we know how inflation and economy and jobs are the number 1, 2, 3 issues. So I thought that abortion sort of knocked down a few pegs. The Democrats did not feel that way. So I think that was sort of like a dark horse issue. But yes, I think that inflation was the number 1 issue. And that's what people voted on. But there was a big portion of people who are one-issue voters, and that was the Democrats, and they wanted to, have their voice heard on abortion.
There was this other one, which was call for number 2. This says the reason for inflation. 55% of people saying Biden's policy, so that's a majority, but 45% saying it's outside his control.
No.
So, and he says he's not going to change anything.
I couldn't believe that he said he's not going to change anything because we all know what happens when you have voters react to issues. You see a president go to the middle and say, I want to work with you. He's still attacking portions of the Republican Party, and he says he's not going to change anything. I think that at this point, you are seeing inflation continuing to be an issue. I think that that is going to be the main issue. But look, you've got kitchen table issues going into the holidays, and we're going to see this impact spending. Mm-hmm. We're also going to see the jobs picture catch up because so far jobs have been real plentiful. But when you're trying to figure out whether or not you can actually put food on the table or, get a job, these are serious issues. So I don't think that this is going away. I think this is going to continue to be an issue going into the holidays. We talk a lot about demand. Demand is weakening because inflation is cutting into it. What we don't talk about a lot is the supply side of the story. And that is just making stuff, goods. And this president continues to alienate industry. He's threatening a windfall tax for the energy companies. No wonder energy prices are up 17% in October. No wonder oil prices are actually higher than where they were when he started selling oil from the strategic reserve. So you got to start making stuff. You got to focus on the supply side of things, especially if we are on the doorstep of a potential rail strike.
So take us into 2023. It's late January, it's February. And maybe you're exactly right about these numbers not getting much better. And Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House. And yesterday, Biden said, I'm willing to compromise. He did say that toward the top of his press conference. What would they compromise on? When it comes to the economy? What policies?
They have to compromise on stopping the reckless spending. You're talking about $5 trillion in borrowing. As interest rates go higher, that borrowing is going to become more expensive. So that's just adding to the pressure on American families that they're going to have to pay higher taxes to pay for all of this borrowing. One compromise could be that they will agree to stop the spending. I would expect 2023 is going to be a very tough year economically. I said the other day when I was with you, I expect a double dip recession. I think we're going to have negative readings in virtually every quarter of 2023. So, you don't have things like Larry Summers talking about stagflation, Jamie Dimon talking about an economic hurricane. These are not coincidences. They are actually seeing what's going on behind the scenes and seeing people's savings accounts being tapped into just to pay for the essentials, fuel, food, and rent. They still are at incredibly elevated levels. Federal Reserve's probably going to raise rates again. Next meeting, December 13th. Expect at least a ½ point hike. So 2023, while it is going to be a new day, it's also going to be an opportunity to assess where we are. It's going to likely be recession.
Don't like that.
Did your guest this morning, when I know you were asking a lot of them about if they think there will be a double dip recession. Was there a consensus?
Kevin Hassett said that we're going to see every single quarter negative for 2023. Jason Smith going to likely be the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. He is talking about the economy weakening. So, yeah, I think everybody on that panel is expecting that 2023 is going to be a tough road.
Important stuff. You're going to take us through it. I know we're going to get a bump here at when the market opens in about 6 minutes.
700 points higher right now.
Remarkable. Maria, thank you so much. Maria Bartiromo.
Thank you.